All right, today we're going to peel back the curtain on a topic that's shaping our world in ways we're only just starting to get our heads around: AI bias. And as you're about to see, it's way more than just a simple glitch in the code.
I mean, just think about how you even found this right now. An algorithm probably put it in front of you, right? It sorted through a gazillion options to guess what you'd want to watch. So yeah, AI is already quietly influencing your choices.
But it definitely doesn't stop with your playlist or your video feed. Nope. AI's influence is making its way into some of the most critical decisions in our lives. Like your next job. A ton of companies are now using AI to screen resumes. An algorithm could be the very first gatekeeper standing between you and your dream career, deciding if you're a good fit before a single human being ever even sees your name. Or how about this? You're applying for a mortgage. AI models are being used more and more to figure out who's creditworthy, and that's a decision that can literally shape your financial future for decades. And then there's healthcare. AI is helping with everything from diagnosing illnesses to creating treatment plans. I mean, when the stakes are literally life and death, you can see why understanding the potential flaws in the tech is just absolutely essential. So where does all this bias even come from? Well, to really understand it, you've got to look at it like an iceberg. What we usually see, the stuff on the surface, that's only a tiny, tiny fraction of the real story. This image from a NIST report just frames the problem perfectly. It shows three totally distinct layers of bias. Right at the top, floating above the water, we have the part we hear about most often. And those are the statistical and computational biases. You can think of these as the technical issues, the flaws in the data or the math. It's the kind of problem engineers love to try and solve with a better algorithm or maybe just a cleaner data set. So, for example, if a facial recognition system is trained mostly on pictures of white men, guess what? It's going to be way less accurate for women of color. That's a classic underrepresentation problem. Or an algorithm might learn a totally bogus pattern, a spurious correlation, like a hiring system that decides people named Jared who play lacrosse are the best candidates, just because that's what the old biased hiring data suggested. But here's the thing. Just fixing those technical glitches is not nearly enough, because right below the surface of the water lies a much bigger, much messier layer. And that layer, well, it's us. It's human bias. See, these AI systems are built by people, and every single one of us has cognitive shortcuts and unconscious assumptions. And all those personal and cultural perspectives, they get baked right into the technology we create, a lot of the time without us even realizing it's happening. For example, confirmation bias might cause a developer to unconsciously look for data that just confirms what they already believe. And techno-chauvinism, oh, that's a big one. It's this really flawed belief that a high-tech solution is always the best and most neutral option, totally ignoring the human values that are shaping it from the get-go. This leads us straight into a really dangerous trap called the McNamara fallacy. It's basically when you focus only on what you can easily measure with numbers and you totally ignore everything else, even if that other stuff is way more important. We just assume that because an AI is using numbers, it has to be objective. But crucial things like context, nuance, and fairness, those are incredibly hard to turn into a number. And that brings us all the way down to the very bottom of the iceberg, the massive hidden foundation that props the whole thing up. This is where we have to ask the most fundamental question of all. Where did the data even come from in the first place? Because data isn't just raw information, it's a reflection of our society. This is the layer of systemic bias. It reflects decades, sometimes centuries, of societal inequality. So when we train an AI on historical data about home loans or hiring or the criminal justice system, we are also feeding it all of the historical biases that are already embedded deep inside that data. So here's the really crucial point. The AI isn't just creating brand new biases out of thin air. A lot of the time, it's just holding up a mirror to the inequalities that already exist in our world. But it's a mirror with a turbocharger, and it can amplify those biases in incredibly powerful ways. Okay, so recognizing the whole iceberg is the first big step. But how do we actually fix it? We can't just chip away at the tip. We need a completely new way of thinking about how we build and manage these systems. The shift we need to make is from a purely technical view to what's called a socio-technical one. The old way of thinking saw bias as just a coding problem to be solved. The new view understands that you have to tackle the code, the people, and the societal context all at the same time. The goal isn't a perfect algorithm, it's a trustworthy system. So,
What does that actually look like? Well, first, we have to really scrutinize our data sets. Then we have to be testing these systems all the time out in the messy real world, not just in a clean lab. And crucially, this means bringing diverse stakeholders to the table, especially people from the communities that will be most affected. And finally, we have to always keep a human in the loop for oversight and accountability.
At the end of the day, the goal isn't to create some kind of perfectly unbiased AI, because bias is a deeply human and societal thing. The real goal is to build systems that let us find that bias, understand it, and then manage it in a responsible and open way. Which leaves us with one final and really critical question. Every single line of code we write and every data set we use reflects a set of values. So as we hand over more and more important decisions to these systems, we really have to ask, whose values are we embedding into the architecture of our future? Thanks for joining this Explain.